Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Friday, the 5th of September. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which is ending the week on a better note in the sense that we bounced off the floor of that channel after having that rug pull at the beginning of the week and sort of soft rebound. RSI at 58, which is a good place for further gains. Looking for 94.50, hopefully as soon as the end of this month, although obviously we're factoring in by the end of next month, but really the way that things look at the moment should be by the end of this month, while we're above the floor of the channel there at 91.20. If there is a rug pull, then the 50-day line 90.69 is a potential downside target, although it has to be said we haven't been below the 50-day line since the beginning of May, so really in ultra bull mode at the moment. Moving on to the DAX, and here the situation is that we are trying to bounce off the floor of that channel. I suppose it's really a mid-channel line, but 23,500, the line there. Initial target here, the 50-day line, 24,000, just under 24,100. RSI still below neutral 50, so you want to see the RSI back above that level and probably back above the 50-day line to make this interesting and not just like a buy on the dips, which is what we seem to have at the moment. The Dow is next, and here it's been a battle about the 45,000 level, the one that so far this market has been winning. In fact, to start the week, we managed to bounce almost exactly on that level, looking for the top of the May 2024 rising trend channel. They're currently heading towards 47,500 and looking for that as soon as the end of this month, especially after the third RSI 50 rebound that we've had above neutral 50 in the last 2 to 3 weeks. So looking very strong. Indeed, if we have a rug pull, the 50-day line there at 44,600, the worst we were expecting on the downside. Moving on to our cryptos, which consist of Bitcoin to start. And here, actually, I would say things looking a little bit better than one might have expected. We've had these weird bounces off that RSI support line, multiple ones in the mid 30s, mid to upper 30s. We've broken that August resistance line there at around 110. Initial target here, the 50-day line at 115. Best case would be up to 130,000 by the end of this month, which is the top of that rising trend channel from the end of February. I suppose, as I keep saying, all those companies rushing to buy Bitcoin for their treasury strategy must be supporting this market. If there is a rug pull below the floor of the channel at 107, then it would be towards the 200-day line. At 101, we haven't been below that for quite some time, in fact, since the latter part of April. Probably the easiest thing here, though, is to wait for the RSI to get above neutral 50, which I'm sure, I presume it will do over the weekend. Ethereum is next, and here we've got hopes that we could actually head up to as high as 5,500 by the end of this month. That's especially the case if people are switching out of Bitcoin and into Ethereum. 5,500, the top of that channel there from the beginning of July. The floor of the channel there currently around 4,250. We're waiting for an end of day close above 4,500, which has been recent multi-resistance over the past week or so. But the good news here is that the RSI has just bounced again for the second time this month at neutral 50. Had various bounces since the beginning of July, actually. So this looks like from an RSI perspective, a very strong market, and an end of day close through 4,500 should do the trick. In fact, even an intraday close through that level should do the trick to take us up towards 5,500 as soon as the end of this month. On to gold, where people are getting very excited. Apparently, Goldman Sachs suggesting $5,000, which means they're short of the market at this point, but never mind. In terms of the technicals, we're looking 3,800 as soon as the end of this month, while we're above 3,500, which was the old April peak, and maybe a bit of consolidation towards 3,500 is in order. But as long as we're above the broken red April resistance line there, 3,400, still feeling pretty bullish about this market. Next on the list are the stocks, and starting off with Blencowe, where every percentage point the shares go up seems to cause quite a positive reaction in the market. People willing the stock up seem to be rather unfairly treated by the market until now, but hopefully now that we've broken towards the 5 pence level, above 5, not really expecting any resistance now between 5 and around 6.25, which is the upper parallel of that broadening triangle from November. Got support coming in well above the rising 50 and 200-day lines as well. So hopefully this is a market on its way after quite a long time of consolidation. Next up is Catenai, and here you can see that we've got a situation where we've bounced off the floor of that rising trend channel. We've also had an extended RSI rebound above the neutral 50 level, looks like an leading indicator on the upside, as well as a break of the 50-day line at 0.27. Above that, looking for the top of the channel there, 0.48. Hopefully by the end of this month, in a chart which looks a little bit like the setup that we had at Defence Holdings, which obviously went rather well. On to Cloudbreak, where I got a jibe from somebody on Twitter saying that you said it was going to go to from 0.7, or you said that above 0.7 there was no resistance on the chart between there and 1.7 pence. And to be fair, the shares did actually break down from 0.92, which was a bit of a rug pull, but we still have the hope that above 0.7 the shares will actually head up to 1.7, hopefully on the next round for the stock. Ideally, we stay above that red resistance line there. That was the previous target there at around the 0.55 level. So above that, it is 0.7. Then hopefully next time above 0.7, we get up to 1.7, maybe by the end of next month. RSI's remained above neutral 50, which is a positive for the shares on the latest retracement. Moving along to Conroy, where it was hoped that the shares would hit 10 pence, and they've just hit 10 pence, which is very nice. Always very nice when we have a target hit. Stops people complaining about the charting. So 10 pence hit there. Next target up. I'll probably have to fish that out, but let's have a look and see if there's anything particularly obvious. In fact, I already drew the line there. So above 10 pence on Conroy, looking for 22 pence, which is the upper parallel of that rising trend channel base. So let's see if we can just close above 10 and move ahead. At the moment, while we're above 8 pence, recent support, still looking for further significant gains. And obviously, that's tracking the gold price. Just wanted to look at Defence Holdings, actually. I wasn't going to look at it this time, but reminded me that we did actually hit that second target there, the lilac line at 1.25. So that was a win. Obviously, the shares have come back a bit, so not too many complaints. But above 0.93, the old peak there from the beginning of June, still looking for a retest of that 1.2, 1.3 pence area on that situation. Another stock which is hit all the targets in the recent past has been Empire Metals, and we did actually have an email about the stock, which is always interesting. The market cap approaching £500 million, and the question in the email was that given what's going on and in the ground, hasn't the share price rather exceeded expectations and exceeded where the fundamentals are at the moment? Obviously, one couldn't possibly comment, but what you can see here is that through that lilac line there, the shares could have another leg up, not only to retest the best levels so far at 83 pence, but actually even hit as high as 95 pence. But the point in the email was that maybe this is the rally, the best of the rally before actually we start getting production, etc., etc., and a bit like the pullback that we had in Greatland Gold. After it had its runaway move towards 30, 40p and then had to come back. But we shall see. We'll keep an eye on this one. Ideally on the right side of 60 pence, one's still looking for greater glories on this situation. Moving along to a situation which hopefully will be a decent new one. It already has been a decent new one. In fact, here you can see First Development. We're looking for 11 pence on this one. Within a rising trend channel from the start of play there at the end of July, now looking for 13 pence while we're above the 9 pence level. So hopefully FDR can deliver that. Ideally, we remain well above the 50 and 200-day lines there at 6 3/4. On to Gear for Music, where everyone is trying to be a rock and roll star, or at least a pop star. We've hit our target there, which was the red line, the top of that broadening triangle from last summer. Around 265. Above that, looking for a best case scenario target over the next suppose 1 to 2 months, form a resistance on the way down, which was around the £3.70 level, let's call it, by the end of next month. So above 260, looking for 370 on Gear for Music. On to Hemogenyx, where I think some warrants have been exercised. Here you can see that where once again we hit a target which seemed to be very ambitious, and well, obviously only briefly, but it was £9 plus. In fact, we went up to towards the £10 area. In fact, £9.90. So the target hit there, which was ambitious. The current situation is that we'd like to see the shares stay on the right side of £6 if they're going to deliver a retest of the £9 to £10 area. You can see there is some resistance there towards £7.30. The other point to note is that we are in the run up to a golden cross there, and that tends to be the strongest part of the cycle, as it already has been for Hemogenyx. So after a lot of suffering there, we're looking rather good, although the market cap actually is only 28 million. So perhaps plenty more to go as well. The fun inclusion today is Iconic Labs, which obviously has been through hell and back for shareholders. Here you can see that a bit of interest in the sense that we've broken recent resistance breaking the recent resistance at 3p. Above 3p, looking for the shares to at least retest the 4.5 pence zone, which was the spike early last month. And the reason for the relative optimism, even though this is a very binary situation, is that the RSI is pushed above neutral 50, and the 50-day line, if you look closely, is also starting to rise. So if you are somebody who might be a glutton for punishment, that is a stock to look for in terms of a potential rebound. On to Landore, which has done what we wanted it to do, which was deliver upside after the bearish divergence. Recent resistance at around 3.75 pence. Above that, we've been looking for 4.75, best case up to 5.9 pence by the end of next month, while we're above 3.75 pence. On to Orosur, which is another stock which has hit its target. It's almost getting boring now. Here we've hit it by quite some distance. The old target was 19 pence. Now looking for up to 29 pence by the end of this month, while we're above 19. On to Peel Hunt, which is talking about better conditions in the stock market, which you can see from the chart has delivered a decent move up today. In fact, interesting that the shares moved up earlier in the week. Maybe people were clairvoyant enough to work out that the company would say something positive today. But the current situation is above the floor of the latest gap at 102, looking for up to £1.30 plus by the end of this month on Peel Hunt. On to the last two. The first one is Surface Transforms, and here it's been quite a decent bull run for the shares. You can see that we've broken the second target there, around 1.8 pence, and above that, looking for up to the 2.7 pence level by the end of this month, which one presumes was resistance on the way down, which is normally what I do. And the fact that was the case back in April 2023. Finishing off with Seed Innovations, where for some reason it looks as though this is quite a dynamic and a recovering situation. I think there was, from memory, a share buyback in the shares, but even if there hasn't been, 3.14 pence the target now, while we're above the 50-day line at 2.35. Best case by the end of next month, which may be sounding optimistic, is up to 5.3 pence, which was resistance on the way down. But looking for that by the end of next month, given the recent bounces for the RSI and bounces above support for the shares. That's it from me today. More updates over the weekend.